Appraisals are at the end of the day. You look at the scorecard, that's your appraisal. Sport, everybody knows that you're as good as your last performance. We are sort of obsessed with individual milestones, individual goals, but in a team sport like cricket, one needs to sort of align every possible player, every possible individual.
Hi, everybody. This is Kshitij, your host for the session. Today, our guest is, it's not a surprise. It's going to be Mr. Anil Kumble, who is former coach and a player of Indian cricket team. Today, we're going to discuss about deep concept of performance with him. So, stay tuned. Go about asking you the questions. Let me introduce myself. I'm Kshitij. I'm a performance coach. I work for a lot of corporate companies for that. So, my aspect of having a conversation with you is majorly on performance side of the business. So, there is one common concept which is in every corporate. We are trying to drive a vision, mission, a purpose to our people so that we can do more productive work for our organizations. So, in sports, how do we, you have mentored a lot of players, you yourself as a player, how do you assert this vision and mission to the people?
Yeah, I think it's in a team sport like cricket. You certainly need a team vision, team goal, and a purpose towards achieving something. There could be a short-term goal. Sometimes world events like the World Cups become a major sort of a goal for the team to achieve. So if it's a World Cup year, then the focus entirely will come up towards that tournament. But however, as a coach or as a team, you certainly put up these three sort of buckets and then try and get the team to uh, agree on a
Those aspects.
list of things that each individual member has to sort of commit to, right? I mean, you certainly have a culture in the organization, whether it's cricket or any other sport. For in cricket, you certainly put up a cultural, a sort of an ethic document, and then say, okay, all of us commit to this. It could be on field, it could be off field. So there will be certain things that are on field, not and even on field. When I mean on field, there will be certain things, how you prepare during the nets, during practice, and in match situations, and off field. How does the team want to be seen as? So those are aspects that you put in, and then of course you have the vision, the goal, and then you put all these buckets. At the same time, what you also need to sort of align is the individual goals. You need to sit with individuals and say, okay, what is your goal? What do you want to achieve in this coming year? So you put all of that, and then all of them need to align to a common purpose. If that doesn't happen, then it's a challenge. Uh, we are sort of obsessed with individual milestones, individual goals, but in a team sport like cricket, one needs to sort of align every possible player, every possible individual, not just the 15 squad, but every person in that group, be it the physiotherapist, be it the trainer, be it the manager, be it the coach, the assistant coaches, everyone needs to align to a common vision. And that comes about by a common sort of a platform where you give opportunities to everyone to pitch in. And then once you sort of agree, you sort of then reiterate that as and when there's a personnel change.
Understood. Fair. Quite similar to what we experience also.
Yes.
So my second question is more from an aspect of psychological safety. So Maslow is quite a well-renowned psychologist. In 1930s, he wrote about the hierarchy of needs of people, where people look for physiological needs, water, shelter, and then they go about looking for psychological safety from workplace. So in today's era, the new generation that's coming in, like this is one aspect. While they work for any or give any energies into any profession, they look at that, they aim at that psychological safety. Will I be able to pursue this for 5-10 years? So does that does that happen in cricket? And
It's very difficult. I mean, in sport, everybody knows that you're as good as your last performance, and there are no guarantees. So it's a given. So you sort of have that underlying factor of having that sort of sword dangling on everyone's head, that you sort of you never know whether you're going to be a part of the team in the coming up matches. Of course, your performance counts. So that itself brings about anxiety, it brings about pressure to perform. And I think that's the role of a team, a leader within that group, how he communicates to the rest of the players in making them feel that they will be given enough opportunities. And again, we spoke about the goals of teams. In a squad, only 11 can play. Right. The biggest challenge is to manage the 12, 13, 14, 15, and the rest of the players, because they are as good as anyone else, but yet they have to sort of wait for their opportunities. And that's where the pressure builds. So how do you keep them engaged? So they will have a separate individual goal that they need to work towards. And how do you align them again and wait for that opportunity, make them believe that they're a part of the squad anytime they could get an opportunity. And when the opportunity does come, you need to be prepared, you need to be ready, not just physically, but more importantly, mentally. Right? You need to be switched on. So in sport, it's tougher. But having said that, everybody sort of tunes their mindset towards that. So there is a switch that everybody sort of has their own method to switch on when the event is on, or when you have that opportunity, or then say, okay, I'll still wait for my opportunity, but yet commit to something that you need to continuously improve, whether it is skill, whether it is your physical fitness, or anything else. Because even in skills, it's not just the batting or bowling, it could be fielding, it could be all those aspects. So I think it's important that from a team's perspective, mental aspect is gaining a lot more in the recent years. It was not the case when I played. People expected the players to sort of manage all those issues.
Yeah.
But now you certainly have support systems to provide, whether it is individual, whether it's a team, that requires that kind of engagements on and off. So it's quite challenging. Uh, it's again, it varies from individual to individual within the group.
Right.
But more importantly, I think from a leadership perspective, the understanding of every individual as a person is the key to solving any certain psychological issues that may come up.
Fair. Very illuminating. Right. So my third question is on mentality silos. So let me explain this a little bit. So, we all in the corporate organizations face this trouble where every function, people in every function tend to think from what they work on. If it's a salesperson, will think from a sales perspective, marketing will do it from that. So, these silos, a lot of time actually limit the productivity and performance of people. So I see it in cricket. Like there are so many different kind of roles, right? There is a bowler, there is a batsman, there is a keeper, there is an umpire, right? All these people would look at information from their silo. So, do we face these silos issues in cricket, and do we have any counters to actually take care of it?
Yeah, there are certainly these kind of issues. From a bowler's perspective, you would always look at batting or batsmanship to become a bit, be a bit more positive, take a lot more risks, because that's what you expect from a bowler. But as a batter, if you're just a pure batter and you've only grown up as a batter, risk taking doesn't naturally come to you. There are a few players, perhaps are exceptions, but generally, because it just takes one ball to get you out. So that thought will always remain in a batter. Whereas from a bowler, when he's looking to bat, that thought is never there, because he's not worried about getting out. He doesn't have that skill set, first of all, to survive. So how do you sort of bring that mindset in certain situations where perhaps that shift in mindset is important in that kind of a situation, even from a bowler to a batter, or from a batter to a bowler? Because as a bowler, it depends on, again, individual to individual. If you're an attacking person, from a sport perspective, if you're in that kind of mindset, if you're a player of that mindset, sometimes you have to rein in that in a situation that the team expects you to.
Right.
So that's where the communication and the conversations are critical. And in a team's perspective, the captain is sort of in charge on the field. So you just follow what is happening there and then react to those situations,
Yeah.
and manage that way, rather than pushing for your own comfort.
Agenda.
Because at the end of it, everyone has their own comfort level, right? You want to be in your comfort zone. How how often can you take an individual out of that comfort zone to perform and give them those opportunities is the critical aspect to sort of achieving this of managing situations based on your own thinking, your own mindset.
Got it. So yeah, like I believe the same. Like operations can happen in a silo, but
Strategy certainly needs everybody to come into, to buy in, and then they need to play their respective roles, because certain situations, the strategy could be to sort of defend, whereas naturally you're an attacking player or an attacking bowler. So that you need to rein in. And similarly, vice versa as well. So yes, strategy, everyone needs to buy into it. At the end of it, each one has their own way of looking at a game and then expressing what they believe is the right way to approach.
Right. So my last question to you, Anil, is about are there any appraisals in cricket? And if there are, like you have been a mentor and a coach to a lot of players, so how do you measure people?
Yes, the appraisals are at the end of the day. You look at the scorecard, that's your appraisal. I mean, I don't think uh, any other appraisal is beyond sport, because you get appraised every day of the year whenever you play a match. So at the end of it, you look at the scorecard, and then that's what it is. But having said that, there again, you sort of sit with individuals who are not in the playing 11, like I mentioned. You sort of give them certain goals that they need to achieve. It could be fitness goals, it could be skill goals, or it could be any other sort of goals that you think they need to sort of look at. So you sort of aim at that. I think most importantly, in sport, you're looking at characters. You're looking at characters who have that spirit in them to fight when the chips are down. Because when the team is successful, your small little contributions are sort of they they go they just you just go over them. You gloss over them. But whereas when the chips are down, someone sort of uh, comes up with a performance where everybody will stand up and notice. That's what you want. You want those kind of performances. And if someone has done that, you sort of give them a slightly longer rope when they have not been, or when they're out of form. Whereas that's what you look for in sport. You look for people who can stand up when the chips are down, and like I mentioned, you sort of give them a little bit of a longer rope in terms of appraisals. Yes, with IPL coming in, there's a lot more appraisals happening at the end of every season. You can see that people sort of get back into the auction. They don't get retained. Then you sort of pick the market sort of demands, or market value is sort of registered at the auction. One year you would have gone at a higher price, the next year because of the performances. So it's a natural process, and sportsmen take it on the chin. It's uh, never a soft way of handling. But I think as sportsmen, we are used to those rough handling of how you sort of have to manage your career.
Fair. I used to think about this entire decade of my experience as a performance coach. This is something which keeps coming up. So, all corporates are trying to move to a more continuous performance, where people can give feedback, constructive feedbacks to improve their people or that they work for. Now, if you look at it, like cricket in itself is like continuous feedback. Audience is there, constantly writing about it.
Yeah.
So, that was something which used to trick me, that how does appraisal work in a scenario where there's feedback everywhere?
Yeah, it is. I mean, appraisals, like I said, it sort of takes care of itself. You are not, uh, yes, like I mentioned, you have a common goal of winning a tournament, and each individual has a respective sort of role in the team, within the team. So, from the outside world, you may think that a batter has actually failed because of the runs he scored or whatever it is.
The metrics might be failing.
Metrics might be failing if you look at the averages. But from a team's perspective, he may be actually performing the role brilliantly, because in a T20 game, I'll just give you an example. In a T20 game, a 5-ball 15 is more valuable than in a certain situation. If someone's actually given that role, saying, "Look, I just need you to change the momentum. Your role is to go there and get me these 15 runs in the next over. Don't worry about getting out." And he gets out. He gets out for 15 after 5 balls, and then comes back. Whereas the top order would have got 50, couple of them 50s, and then when you have that, uh, and the risk he takes is obviously more. So the chances are that his success rate won't be the same as someone who has that opportunity to bat at the top. So how do you then risk and reward? How do you do that? From a team's perspective, he's probably doing his role to perfection. But from an outside world, the pressure starts mounting, and that's where the communication from within to the outside world is extremely important. How do you sort of manage that to ease the pressure on the individual who is actually performing his role to what the team expects of him?
That's where I always think that fantasy leagues scoring mechanisms is not truly a justice to people's performance, because the execution can depend upon a scenario as well, as you said.
Yes.
So I think that's all, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you
Great
so much.
questions.